to TAW University number 5. Our guest presenter or speaker is going to be Sooner OKC, the Army Commander of TAW, and his topic is the chain of command. And I've had the pleasure of getting to see the material that he's going to cover ahead of time. And well, I will say you guys are in for a treat. This is going to be very interesting and really a great presentation. So looking forward to actually hearing him talk through it too. But hey, just a few things. There's going to be another TAW University coming up next week at this exact same time, pretty much 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And there is going to be another, actually, you know what, we don't have a TFO meeting next week, so let's do, Catawba, we're going to do yours at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And immediately following that one, we'll take about a 5-10 minute break, and then there will be a second TAW University, and I will be doing that one, and we will basically be unveiling the new structure for TAW. So I'll start kind of on a broad sense, laying out the changes that we're going to be making in the structure, some changes in the names of some of the positions, some new positions we're adding, etc. So it'll be a very informative and a very interesting TAW University. So looking forward to next Sunday. I know Catawba has put a lot of work into hers, and I'll tell you what, I'm gonna give her just a second so she can kind of explain to you what she's going to be presenting, if she can kind of keep that short, and then once she's done, we'll hand it off to Sooner. So Catawba, you want to talk a little bit about next week's TAW University?
Thank you, Hook. Basically, what we will be talking about is ways to change your language as leaders when you are speaking to members, especially trying to correct conditions, ways to alter your words, choose your words carefully to be more effective, and in a general discussion of how language can affect everything that we try to say and everything that we try to change.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and believe me, I'll probably be student number 1 on that one. Being from Texas, and just, language has never been my strong point, but communication is key to leadership, and so yeah, definitely looking anything that I can learn from somebody on how to better communicate is always a good thing. So I'm looking forward to that, Catawba. I appreciate you putting the effort into putting something like that together. So with that being said and done, I don't believe there's any other business that needs to be taken care of, so we're going to hand it off to Sooner.
All right. This is Sooner OKC on the chain of command. Before we look at the COC and TAW, let's first understand that the purpose and need for a COC. Nothing makes more sense than understanding why we have something, and the chain of command, you hear that a lot in TAW. You hear the COC mentioned a lot, but you may not understand it depending upon what you've done in life or what you haven't done in life. There's 3 basic elements of the chain of command. The first element is command. The second element is control. The third element is communicate. All 3 of those elements are extremely important. If one element of that is broken, basically the whole chain of command will fail. You can't have one without the other, or other 2. So it's very, very important to understand that. So let's take a closer look at each element in there, in the chain of command. The first element, I thought this is a pretty cool slide right there. The first element is the unit member must know who they're accountable to. Along with that, the unit leader must know who they're responsible for. So in that chain of command, you just have to know who's responsible for which members. Each position has its own level of responsibility. We'll kind of look at that in more detail later on. Okay, so the control element. The control element, let's think about it. We can think about any organization, but for us in TAW, we're talking about arrangement of members. And TAW uses squads, battalions, divisions, and corps. And that's how we arrange people. If we didn't have a control element, it'd be total chaos. If you had a game And when you're explaining things to, well, let's say a person that doesn't understand TAW, and you explain how a division relates to a game and how battalions relate to time zones, and that's how we break it down. So it's very important to understand that. Another part of the control is plans and procedures. As any organization, we have 1,000 members. We have policies, we have administration, we have preparations. We have to plan what we're going to do throughout our organization. We have directing and coordinating. Things like events, training, and maintenance. And it's basically the execution phase of all the planning that we put together, all the arrangements. It comes down to actually directing and coordinating and executing the event. Okay, now the communicate element. It's actually communicate, it's not communications. Communicate actually means to actually pass on the information and knowledge, whereas communications is actually the mechanism that's used. And we're more interested in actually the element of communicate. So communicate, distribution of information to subordinates. It's extremely important that if you're in a division and you want your members to know something, that you have to distribute the information to them. A perfect example here is this TS3, how it's all organized and how it all came about and how we distributed the information from OS through hook and down to the members. Channeling of information back to responsible parties. Information has to flow both directions. It's extremely important that we have an open forum and we have a way to pass information back and forth. So it's extremely important. You can't have information flowing one direction. So remember the 3 C's of command, control, and communicate when it comes to the chain of command. And every little section I have a little place, if anybody has a question that they want to ask, feel free. And that'd be this point right here. All right, we'll move on then. So how does all this work in TAW? Where do leaders get their authority from? And let's go and answer some of those questions. So first of all, where do leaders get the responsibility? Where does a leader's responsibility come from? Policy grants the authority. Policy also defines, authorizes, and limits authority. That's extremely important to know that. So responsibility plus authority equals a burden. And it's kind of a good, there's good burdens and there's bad burdens. And this is a good burden, but it's still a burden to carry. So when you're looking, if you're a young recruit or young member and you're wanting to become that battalion commander or that division commander, just understand every level in TAW, as it increases, the burden and responsibilities also increase. So burden is defined as a duty, as a responsibility, or something to carry. So just kind of keep that in mind. Responsibilities plus authority equals a burden to carry, and you have to execute that, remembering everything you do in TAW or any organization, it's something to remember. Any questions about that? Alrighty. This is the basic Army chain of command, and I kind of focus just on the Army side because most of the members in TAW, 90% of them, 95% of them, fall underneath the Army chain of command. The first element we have is the squad leader. The squad leader generally has anywhere from 5 to 10 members, and this is just the average. There are some divisions that it may vary, either direction, but the basic element is the squad leader. And the squad leader is very, very important because they have the closest hands-on to the members. So if you're a new recruit or a young member and you come in, you're put into a squad. It's really the duty of that squad leader to mentor his members and to keep in contact with them. Even if they miss a practice or if they don't show up, sending emails, trying to contact with them, give them X-Fire information where they can get a hold of you. It's really important. I think a lot of people can look back over time and remember who their first squad leader was when they came into TAW, kind of mentored them. The next level is the battalion commander. Battalion commander usually has anywhere from 15 to 50 members. Again, it kind of varies. Another extremely important member here. The next member of the chain of command is the division commander. And again, the membership can vary anywhere from 20 to 200 members that they're responsible for. The next level is the corps commander. The corps commander usually generally takes care of anywhere between 200 to 500 members. And then we have the Army commander, and the Army commander is responsible for basically everybody in Army command, which right now is currently about over 1,000 members. So that's your basic chain of command in TAW. And you can see, if you look at the levels, the only thing between a squad leader and, let's say, the Army Corps commander, there's just 3 members. There's the battalion commander, the division commander, and the corps commander. Now, these are the non-listed chain of command members. When I came into TAW and was in a division, it was really confusing because the people that were running my division at the time didn't understand how the chain of command is supposed to work. And they basically listed everybody in a chain of command, all the non-listed members. These non-listed members are the assistant squad leaders. People like assistants would be squad leaders or fire team leader. The next would be the executives, the battalion executive officer, the division officer, the lieutenants, such as lieutenant army commander or the lieutenant corps commanders. They have specific jobs, okay? These positions are not in the direct COC, assistants, executives, and lieutenants. These positions do assist and act as representative of the office that they're assigned to. In other words, for me, Braveheart is my lieutenant commander, and he works with me, and he represents my office. But if there's an issue, it won't necessarily go directly to him. It actually comes to my office, and I'm the one that's actually responsible for it. These positions act as one with the senior leadership, which is extremely important to remember that if you're a battalion executive officer, or if you're a lieutenant corps commander or lieutenant army commander or a DO, that you are representing the office at a whole. So if you're a DO, you're representing the division command. And you can't act as a lone gun. You have to act as one with the senior leadership. Anybody have any questions about that? I want to make sure we're clear on that one. All right, now we have support level members. And I'm using some of the new terminology that's going to be coming out in the next few months or weeks. Support level members are things like the staff officer, the field specialist, the training specialist, the server administrator. These are support level, and they're not in the chain of command. Okay, they do assist the division and battalion level officers, but they're not in that direct chain of command. And I'm going to show you some slides here in just a minute that actually show you how information would flow. Yes, sir.
Hey, I was just going to clarify for those that don't already know, the field specialist is the replacement for the tactical warfare specialist. The training specialist is the replacement for the head drill instructor, and server administrator is a replacement for the field system tech. And next week's TAW University, you guys will get a lot more information on that. But just so you're wondering exactly what those mean, that's what we're looking at there.
Right on. So these positions are support level members, and they are granted responsibilities by the battalion or division commanders. And that's something you need to understand. It's the responsibilities. You can hear that word a lot in this presentation. All right, any questions about that? Moving right along. Okay, how does the chain of command not work in TAW? First of all, it's not really a chain. Maybe surprising. It's a hierarchy, and I'm going to demonstrate that here in just a minute. With each level in that hierarchy, from a squad leader to the army commander, has more and more responsibilities and more duties, and also it kind of increases who you're responsible for. And that's why some things are done better at the squad, battalion, or division level versus a corps or army level. Let's take a closer look at the COC in TAW. All right, now here I've done a basic hierarchy graph, and if you'll notice, I've got the CIC at the top, the Army Command. I put up 3 of the Corps commands, and then I only had room for underneath the 2nd Corps to put 3 divisions and battalion, 2 battalions underneath that division, and then underneath the Battalion A I have 4 squads. So if you're in, let's say, the D squad, you can see who your battalion commander would be, who your division commander would be, the Corps command going all the way up to the CIC. Everything in red would be in your chain of command. Versus the guy in the green, say A squad, it's slightly different. Or if you're in the B battalion, slightly different. Or if you're in the C division, it might be slightly different. So, but if you're in the D squad in the red there, you can see how it would flow. And here's another chart, and it kind of more explains how the Army Lieutenant Commander works and how the division officer and the Lieutenant Corps commanders work. Again, from the squad leader up to the CIC, you can see the levels there, starting at the top at the CIC, then the Army Commander, the Army Corps Commander, Division Commander, Battalion Commander, and then the squad leader. If you look at the squad leader, you can see that between him and the battalion commander, you have the support staff and the battalion executive officers. They're there and they have authority, but they're not in the chain of command. And if you look at between the battalion commander and the division commander, you'll see the division officer. Again, he's there, but he's not in the direct chain of command. He represents the division commander, and he supports the division commander. Then at the corps command level, you have the lieutenant corps commander, and again, he or she is supporting the corps commander in their task, but they're not in a direct chain of command. And then you have the Army command, the same thing. Army commander is there, he supports the Army commander, but he's not in the direct chain of command. All right, next slide is jumping the chain of command. And we actually have a policy about this. The policy is just don't do it for the most part. Whenever you can help, don't do it. Jumping the chain of command leads to confusion. It undermines leadership, and it breaks TAW policy. And that's something to remember. So don't jump the chain of command. If you're in a let's say if you're in a division and you want to bring something to my attention, you really need to go to your corps commander first. You don't need to bring it directly to me. Most likely that corps commander can handle the situation. Something I want to go back to also real quick. I want to jump back a couple slides. Looking at this slide again, if we jump the chain of command, let's say that division commander wants to jump the command and go to the Army commander. Well, you've just undermined the whole reason to have a corps commander. The same thing is with the Army commander. If I was to just pass on some information to the division commander, I've taken that Army commander out of the loop. That Army commander or the corps commander can act as a filter. Let's say I think I have a great idea that this division needs to do something a certain way, and I just jump down there and I decide to give them this great idea. Well, I've just taken out one of my greatest resources, which is the corps commander. First thing I have done, and I do all the time, is I'll go and talk to a corps commander and say, hey, I've got this idea. And that corps commander acts as a filter. For one thing, he reminds me if I'm no, sooner that's not a good idea. You don't need to be doing that. Let's don't do that, or let's tweak it this way. So I'm using their knowledge, their input, to help me come up with an idea or a situation or a way of doing something. So we bounce ideas off each other quite a bit. Same thing if you're a squad leader, going right to that division commander, you need to include that battalion commander in everything that you're talking about. Again, acting as a filter, acting as a person that can give more input and more information, and come up with a better idea or more input. Okay, now again, jumping the chain of command works both ways. Works going up the chain of command and it works going down the chain of command. It's very important that we keep everybody that I've mentioned in the loop. Now, this is a part I added in the presentation here. This doesn't mean a member can't use their rank as authority. And when we talked about this, and Hook and I talked about this, what this is about, members wear their rank as a symbol of the responsibilities they have accomplished within TAW. We don't wear it for pride. We don't wear it for this and that. We just wear it to show, a level of responsibility that we've had in this gaming community. If you're a former DC, let's say for whatever reason, you decided not to become a DC or to step down as a DC and do something else. Well, it's important that if you're in a channel and maybe something's going on, there's some shenanigans going on, something's happening, that's the time that you can use your rank to say, hey, I may not be in your chain of command, but you guys need to stop this. And as a member, that person would have to respond and stop. If you do that, though, you need to always report the issue to your chain of command and never escalate the issue. Always document what happened. So it's very important. I've had cases where someone's done something and that they reported it to the person. They were in there and whatever happened, and they took care of the situation. Any questions about that?
T-Bone break.
Go ahead, T-Bone.
Yeah, I had a question about jumping the chain of command.
Go ahead.
I know there is, it says in policy we can't do that, but I know we have if you have like server issues or issues with treasury, you are allowed to jump the chain of command, aren't you?
Yeah, and I'd say that is where you're needing something done and going to the OS for a particular reason. That's not really jumping the command. What we're probably talking about is maybe complaints where you're not happy with a particular issue or those kind of items. If you've got something that needs to be done, say as in the OS, maybe with all this new TeamSpeak that we've had taken care of, if someone's having an issue, you need to go find and get some help and get it fixed. So that's not jumping the chain of command. And there is a little bit of a wink sometimes with issues. I've had people that have come in and talked to me, say, hey, I've got this problem. And as a leader, again, I have to remind them, I may not say, hey, you're jumping the chain of command, but I'll remind them that that we'll talk about the situation, and I'll give them consult with them and tell them what they need to do. That they need to go ahead and hold the situation or take care of the situation in a particular way and go down and talk to whoever.
Cat break?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I also have a question about jumping the chain of command. Suppose I'm a squad leader and something is going on that needs resolution, and I find that my CO is simply not responsive. How do you deal with that? Do you go to the DC? Would that be jumping the chain of command?
Well, what you need to do is send an email. You would send one to your battalion officer, and if it's not being taken care of, then at all means you'd be able to speak to your I'd speak to the XO and the battalion commander, and in channel via also back up with an email, and then go in if it's not being taken care of or handled at that point, and you're right, then you need to talk to the DC. The main thing is when you do jump the chain of command like that, you have to make sure that you're right.
Hickory break.
Go ahead, Dick.
Yeah, I would need two quick points on this too. Like number one, I mean, especially if I won't lie. I mean, in my TAW career, I've jumped the chain of command. I've done it, and it was under a severe situation that I felt I had to do it in order to make sure something bad didn't happen. And those situations do come up. So, I mean, nobody in CC will ever tell you no. Well, you just don't do it. Period. Well, okay. However, when you do it, as Sooner said, you better be right. You better have documented what you're saying and what you're seeing so that the case is there. But that all that stuff aside, there is a logical reason why we don't do it in general. Not only for the authority reasons and all that stuff that Sooner was talking about, but if you think about it, right? I mean, let me ask you a question as OSD, right? If I personally had to handle every single technical problem in TAW, do you think I'd have any opportunity to do the rest of what I'm supposed to be doing here? The answer is no. I mean, it's the same with Sooner. If he was resolving every single issue that came up in every single division in TAW, I mean, he just couldn't do anything else or that at all. It's decentralized leadership, which allows us to function. And if you continue to push issues up that can be resolved at a lower command level, then nobody ever gets anything done. And you basically can seize up the whole operation of the organization by doing that.
Exactly. And as I've mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned it here, but the best decisions are always made at the lowest level. The ones with the boots on the ground, the rubber meet the road. That's where you want the decisions to be made whenever possible. You don't want me coming in and making a decision for a battalion or a division. It's really important, especially the division leader is kind of the, he's the head honcho. He's the one knows the game. And we spend a lot of time talking in policy and that, where we always let the issue go back to the division commander and division staff to resolve any issues. And it's only when it's escalated do the corps commanders and the Army Command get involved. Anybody have any questions before we move on? All right, now here's how to handle issues across battalion, division, or corps lines. This is not the correct way to handle issues across battalion or division corps. We got Mojo. Yes, we got Mojo there in an armbar by Laura.
Nice, I like it.
Looks like Mojo's winning.
I don't think so. I think his face is red.
No, in Mojo's eyes, he's winning.
Possibly. Okay, when issues occur between members of different units, report the issue to your COC. Okay, that's the main thing to remember. In most cases, the division commander will work out the issue between the divisions. So you'll have two divisions that got an issue. They'll come to an agreement. All right? If needed, again, the corps commander will get involved and resolve the issue, the corps command team. The Army commander of TAW has the final say regarding issues in the Army command. And you don't, we'll get involved, but we, again, prefer that divisions, the corps handle it. We'll monitor it and work with them and help them out. But the reason why we don't want to get involved is because that's usually what happens right there. As I always say, we make a big footprint, and it's usually not a good thing. So that's the end of my presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
Test break.
Go ahead.
What when of the one of the chain of command is long term on leave or for a period of time sick? Do the members then skip the second in command, or does the second one takes over that position due to sickness, on leave, or whatsoever?
Yeah, that's where the executive officer or the DO or the lieutenant commander would take place. And there's a lot of times, again, where doesn't mean you can't have them do stuff. That's when you're going to have the whole thing about we have dual leadership, and it's a team, a battalion team, a division team, corps command team, Army command team. So we do things as a team, and I'll delegate work to, or we'll split it up between Braveheart and myself. Same thing with the corps commanders. they'll delegate information. Again, the main thing is understand they can do that, and when they actually go out and act upon something, they're acting as a representative of whatever office they're holding, whether it's a corps commander or a division or a battalion officer. So they have that authority. So if you have let's say a division commander, it's out for a week or two, then the DO officer is that man, and he's the one that's in charge of the division. I had busy for the last couple of weeks with work, and I told Braveheart, I said, you're the man. Anything comes up, I'm going to be passing it to you, and you're going to handle it. So I didn't want to confuse the issue about how the chain of command works, but I wanted to clarify that it's the office, not necessarily individuals. So if you've got you want to send something up the chain of command to get to me, you don't have to go through Braveheart. You come right to me. And if I may give the situation to Brave and have him resolve it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does, and it also means if you do a good documentation of everything that you did in that absence, basically that your commander knows what happened, then it's all good.
Oh, exactly.
That's all about teamwork.
It is, exactly. It's all about teamwork. Any other questions? All righty, Hook, I'll hand it over to you.
All right. Yeah, good stuff, man. I tell you what, well done. I really appreciate you putting that together, and it really does. I think to me, it clarifies a concept that some people I don't think they really see it for what it is, and I appreciate you taking the time to do that. That was a really good idea. So well done. Yeah, we got to figure out how to get that up on the website too. So anybody has any great ideas behind how we could take these, because this is a great tool, by the way, that we found here, this Zoho. We found other ways of putting together these presentations, but this one allows you to very easily take control of it. It's very easy to get people in there. All they got to do is follow the link, and then you take control of it, and you walk through it. So it gives them a visual while we're talking. So that's it's a great tool. But now we just got to figure out how to archive that, and to where we can. And I think actually, if I remember right, sooner you can save that into different types of files. So we may just have to upload the file onto the website. And that way they can download it and just click along. But good stuff. Again, let me remind you guys, the TAW University, is open to anybody. So any division commanders in here, any TFO members, please pass the word on to your members that they are welcome to attend any of these TAW universities. They're here for the enrichment of anybody that wants it. Also, anybody that is that has a topic they would like to present, if you think you have some information or have something to share on being a leader in TAW, feel free to approach us with it, and we'll take a look at it. And this isn't just for the senior leadership. Like I said, Kataba, she is the CO of the 4th Battalion for World of Warcraft. She's got a topic that she brings her expertise from real life to us, and we're looking forward to that. And so anybody else that has something they want to share, we just come jump over the chain right to me. I'll entertain any thoughts that anybody has, and if we think we can do something with it, or if it will be a benefit to the membership or to leadership, I promise you we'll get it scheduled and get you on your way with it. But anyways, thanks again, Sooner. Reminder, next week, 2 TAW universities back to back. The first one being Kataba's and on the topic of language, and the second one will be at least a big chunk of the new structure rollout. So hope to see everybody there. I'm expecting a big turnout for those next week. A lot of important information. So we'll see you guys then.